Hey, what's up, creators? So I posted the Sanctified trailer a couple of days ago, and I wanted to go through the process of how I created those, but I wanted to do it differently. As you saw in the description, there are a lot of tools that I've used to create that, and I wanted to go through one tool at a time in separate videos. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want the tool to be associated completely with that particular project. I want you to see how I'm using these tools so then you can expand it to your own project and use it in other different ways besides creating the trailer. So that's the point of bringing the videos in one by one versus putting everything together. So that way I can do a little bit of a deep dive and not have a 20, 30, 40-minute long video for you to see how I did the trailer versus seeing how I'm using the tool specifically. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing I did was I created a persona and I used ChatGPT's custom instructions to do that. And custom instructions is this really new update that OpenAI did. And what it allows us to do is not have to always prompt ChatGPT on the persona, because we know that the outcomes are better if we can tell ChatGPT act as a writer, act as a painter, act as a expert in marketing, SEO marketing, or something like that. We know that it gives better outcomes if we do that. Well, this is a way of not always having to prompt the chatbot to do that. So we can create a persona, a background of that individual, that persona, and ChatGPT will use that every time it creates that response. So that's what I did here. And as you can see, I did just emerging a love for literature, but culture, technology, and we'll see how I created this persona in a second here, but this is the persona. And then what do I want the output to be? So I was very specific on the output in a way that when it comes to creating Midjourney images, the style matters. So what I wanted to do was, before it created the style, and this is something interesting that custom instructions allows us to do. It allows us to, before it gives a response, to prompt the user for some additional explanation. So in this one, I said, first, always ask the author for the style. So that way, when I say I'm going to post a story, it's going to ask me, well, what style do you want for this story? And I'm telling it, do not create the scene until the style is confirmed. Okay. So once we get the style, and then we say, after confirmation, build a prompt with the following template. And we have our template here, what the shot angle is, the subject, the facial expression, where the subject is facing, the action of the subject, the background scene, the style. And I'm saying here's an example if we don't get one, but we're actually prompting the user to give a style. And then we're saying produce the scene in the following format. So the final format should look something like this. So that way ChatGPT knows that when it gets a story, it knows to prompt the user for a style, and then it builds out the story. So we're going to see that in a few minutes here. Okay. So let's go about talking about how I created the persona. Now, essentially, it was a simple prompt. Give me the background of someone who was really good at creating AI-generated art. And then I gave it a sample of what a background should look like. So this is my blog writer background. And it gave me the background. Now, I went through it. There's some stuff here, ChatGPT can be very verbose and kind of loquacious with this comment. So I wanted to expand on that. So I said, I want something that's where he is good at reading stories, extracting the finest details to create Midjourney prompts, update the background to include this. So now we get an update, and again, kind of verbose. I wanted to make it succinct, so I said, can you get this down to no more than 1,500 characters, including spaces? So with that, here is our AI storytelling prompt machine. So there's the background. Okay, now it's going into training it how to get the prompts. And again, I already knew this, so I said, this is what it should look like. Here's what an output should look like. And then I just had to do a practice. And I said, as a practice, create a prompt of a man in a cyberpunk city running down an alley. And it did it, gave me the shot, did everything, final output. So it worked. So that part worked, but we needed to test it a little bit more. Okay, and I'll show you what that image looks like here. All right, so we did some more. So now I gave it a story. And this is a story. This is the actual Sanctified story. And I had some issues here because ChatGPT, it's very strict on what is output. So if you get something like, grotesque, something R-rated, any type of scene that's described in an R-rated format is going to give you an error message. And I think from here, you can see that here it gave me, it says, it may some content may violate the current policy. And I imagine a dagger, so something like that. So there's a couple of things in here that probably prompted murderous scene. So I stopped and I said, okay, generate the scenes, but keep the descriptions PG-13. And that way we get a more tamed description. But as you can see, it only gave me the template. It didn't give me the final output. So I had to remember the final format, and gave it the example of a final format, and then it created the format. Okay. So mostly that's good. All right. So now let's go over to the next one. So what I wanted to do was test it out. I turned on custom instructions. I said, here's the story, and then create the scene. Okay. And from there, it says, your story seemed to revolve around a fusion of traditional storytelling, cutting-edge technology, fusion role play, whatever. And then it gave me some suggestions of a style. Now, I didn't particularly like that style, so I just gave it one. I said, no, the style is realism, black arts movement, dedicated shading, crisp detailing, glossy finish. So that's the style that I wanted. And it went through, it created one scene for me, but you can see it's a lot. Okay, and so it asked me, how does this scene resonate with you? And I said, more succinct and in the proper format. I will need 5 scenes. And it came back, okay, 5 succinct scenes in the style and format you provided. And now I have my scenes. So with still a couple of promptings, a couple of things to get it to where we want. But overall, I didn't really have to do anything. I just gave it a story, and it automatically asked for this output. It gave me the suggestion, say, okay, give me a style, and then here it is. And so we can take one of these, and let's go to Midjourney. We'll bring this over here, and as you can see, there's the image of the first prompt that it created with the cyberpunk background, low angle shot. Pretty cool, I thought. Did a good job. And now it is creating the first scene. Let's see what we get. Okay. And here's our final scene. So really like this. I'm a fan of this look. That 2D art glossy finish, I'm really just a fan of how this looks. So big fan of this style. But as you can see, we have our image based on the story. Let's say we got a close up and see what we get. Now, one thing that we didn't get, it has subject, but we didn't get a description of the subject. So one of the things that I could do to update this is, before creating these scenes, I would actually create a portrait of my subject. Okay. So let's see if we can get a little more specific on our subject and we get our scene updated. The one reminder about ChatGPT and all of the other AI, Midjourney, all of the other AI tools is that it's still an iterative process. So custom instruction does not absolve you from iterating with this. So you're still going to have to do that. So sometimes we're just going to have to go in and make these little updates. But now that I know that it does this, I could fine tune the custom instruction to make sure that we get the race and we get the ethnicity and we get what they're wearing. But in this case, I may just live with it and not do anything about it. You can see here the close-up, it doesn't give me the race. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in. So that way, all right. So this time, because we're a little more specific, short cropped hair, I don't think they realize what short cropped hair is. So AI has to learn Black folks hairstyle because that is not short cropped hair. But oh well. We're a little more specific with the hands. And now we got an African American with, we have the hands. And I will put this into the description because once you have a few personas, you can always just ask ChatGPT to, update it from a blog writer to a novelist to a painter or something like that. But it gives you an idea of what's possible and the fact that we can have that custom instruction prompt us back before moving forward. So this is step one in creating my trailer, was to create the individual who was going to write the story. And I will share that custom instruction on my horror story writer in the description, so you guys can have that and you can update it as well. All right, so video number one down. On the next process in the series, we are going to go in and actually write the story. All right. All right, so thanks for watching, and we are out.